Hey, it's Simona here, the host of Exhausted to Thriving, and I help stressed out and exhausted moms regain their natural energy, going step by step to recover from chronic stress and exhaustion. And in this video today, I'm talking about sleep, and sleep really is, and why sleep really is the key to recover from chronic stress and exhaustion, why it's the key to shifting back to thriving. So this is really dear to my heart. This is a topic that was very, very difficult for me for a long time because when I had twins, they were very, very tiring and exhausting during the day. And then I had the hardest time sleeping at night. So I needed a lot of help in that direction. So that's why I'm really focusing quite a bit of my energy on letting you know how important sleep is, just in case you're one of those moms who's thinking, oh, I can get by in 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. It doesn't matter that my kids interrupt me and they co-sleep with me and they come to me at night all the time. I can still function during the day. If that's you, if you're not really making sleep a priority right now, then I want to help you and really explain to you why sleep is the key to shifting back to thriving. So I'm going to start this presentation and make myself a little smaller here. And so why sleep is the key to shifting from exhausted to thriving. So let's look at this together. So when we're thinking about sleep, we all know it's important. But how important is it for recovering from chronic stress and exhaustion? This is what my video is about today. So we're going to look at two moms that are going to be telling a different story. They're two moms with roughly the same age, the same amount of kids. They have 2 kids. Let's assume they're about the same age. The kids are about the same age. They both work part-time. So their life circumstances and situation is very, very similar. And they're both very busy moms and very tired. And there are just some different things that they do throughout the day and regarding their sleep. So let's look at the first one. And I just gave her a name called Susie Stressed Out. And she is waking up late and rushing to get her kids ready in the morning. She's going nonstop all day to bring her kids to school, get to work, make dinner, stop at the store in between, run errands, and of course after dinner give the kids a bath. All of those things nonstop for Susie. She doesn't have a minute to spare. She's also not taking time for herself, or she's actually feeling a lot of the times that she doesn't have time for herself. And she's feeling rushed and anxious all day long. She's also busy until late in the evening. Sometimes she goes on her laptop and she works after the kids go to bed, and she stays up quite late to catch up on her work. Or other times she's staying up late to watch TV because she's finally getting some me time. She hasn't had any time for herself, and so she feels like in the evening before bed, it's the only time that she has, so she stays up late till 11 or 12 to get her sleep, get her alone time and her me time at that time. But then we have Cassie Calm. She is virtually in the same situation, but she makes some different choices. She wakes up early before her kids get up, even just a few minutes, help her get in a better start of the day. She's focusing on one task at a time, so she doesn't get quite as stressed out over small things and over all the tasks that she has to do. She is taking a few minutes for herself to recharge, and this can be as simple as some breathing exercises that she does for herself, or going outside and enjoying some sunshine. She uses some breathing and relaxation techniques to stay calm, but also to get energized. And she is putting her kids to bed early and takes some time to wind down before bedtime. So she has a pretty regular bedtime routine for her kids, and she's trying really hard to establish that and keep that, and letting her kids know that mommy needs to have a good night's sleep as well. So her kids go to bed early, about 8:30, and she's making it very clear that they need to stay in bed, and she helps them find some calming strategies so that that they can also calm down themselves, and the mom doesn't have to be there every time that something is happening, like the kids waking up, don't know what to do. Of course, the moms are still there if there's a nightmare, if there's a true emergency, but the mom's making it clear that sleep is a priority, and I'm a much better mom when I get good sleep. So we see the two different things that are happening here between Susie stressed out and Cassie calm. They're making some different decisions throughout the day. And then I want to show you what happens within their body for Susie stressed out, what happens when she is getting just 6 hours or less sleep per night. So her body actually perceives this as an emergency. Yes, an emergency, like and it makes a stress response, similar to when you are getting in a traffic accident, or you are suddenly having a new demand from your boss that's telling you, we need this XYZ project done by tomorrow instead of next week. That is creating a stress response. And the same happens in your body, and you release certain hormones when this happens. So the result is then that the next day, Susie is much more fatigued. She has poor attention, poor memory, and her creativity is not as good at work. And the other thing that happens is she feeds her emotional brain. When we don't get enough sleep, it makes our amygdala much more active, and this then results in events that seem more stressful. They just feel a lot more difficult, more stressful. And for example, when Johnny drops his glass of milk and everything shatters on the floor, it's really difficult for Susie. She's basically not able to keep it together, and she has a meltdown. And that is because this emotional brain is triggered so much more, and this event is a lot more stressful for us. And then we also, in general, are much more agitated, more cranky, more anxious, and even more depressed. So it really greatly affects our mood when we have this emotional brain engaged due to the lack of sleep. Then the other thing that happens is that our rational brain activity is decreased. So our prefrontal cortex, which is right here in the front of the brain, that is not activated as well because of this lack of sleep. And then the result of that is that we make poor decisions and choices throughout the day. For example, what kind of breakfast you eat is often impacted by the amount of sleep you had the night before. If you eat a healthy breakfast, or if you're craving, going for those sweet things in the morning. And of course, then the result of poor decision making is often that we neglect our healthy habits and our self-care, especially as moms. We just don't make it as much of a priority during the day. It's already hard enough to get the time, to find the time, but we tend to not make those decisions to really build us into your day, even when we have the goal and the intention and the ability to do it. The other thing that happens when we have this emergency, we have an increased appetite and increased cravings. So this really, really is important to know, because when we don't get enough sleep, we have a lot more appetite for different foods. We get hungrier, and we often crave the sweet things, the salty things, or the carbohydrate-rich foods. So then, of course, when we eat more of those foods, we are going to be likely to see increased weight gain around the middle. And that's because of our brain. Our brain is making us more hungry, craving certain foods. We also don't have good decision making in place. So we tend to really go and be much more tempted by those unhealthy choices. So it's not that you are lacking willpower or lacking the ability to control yourself. It's actually in your brain. There's a reason for your difficulty with staying away from the donuts and from the sugary treats in the morning or throughout the day. You just really feel like you need those. The other thing that can happen when we have this emergency, this lack of sleep, that over time we weaken our immune system. We are much more likely to get sick with colds, with flu, with all kinds of things. And overall, in general, we increase our cortisol levels. So we increase our cortisol. Sorry, my picture's in the way here. And we are stuck in survival mode. So this means that we are just not reducing our cortisol. We're making more cortisol and adding more to the stress overall that we're feeling in our body. That we already have the emotional stress of raising kids and taking care of all the responsibilities and going to work and having all those things on our plate. But lack of sleep and insufficient sleep makes it even more likely that we are increasing our cortisol and that we stay stuck in survival mode and we're not really recovering from chronic stress. And we are also, when we're experiencing chronic sleep deprivation, at a 45% increased risk for developing things like diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune disorders, cancer, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. So have been many studies have shown that sleep and sleep deprivation is really very much linked to developing chronic health conditions down the road. So this is, if nothing else can motivate you, hopefully this will motivate you to avoid these chronic illnesses down the line, to not develop cancer, dementia, because of your lack of sleep. And let's look at Cassie Calm. So Cassie is focusing and prioritizing 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night because she's learned that this is really important to help her overcome chronic stress and exhaustion. Then she is actually entering a state of rest and repair when she's sleeping because she's getting sufficient amount, and she is able to have energy, increased focus, memory, creativity. She's also able to have a calm emotional brain. Her amygdala in her brain is not overfiring. That means she is having events that are not so stressful. So that glass of milk that Johnny drops on the floor, she can shrug it off and be like, "Are you okay? I hope that you didn't get hurt. Let's clean it up together." And making sure that, her kid is safe instead of overreacting to this event that can happen anytime. Kids drop things, things happen. So she's also able to be much more relaxed and have a positive outlook on life. The other thing that happens with Cassie is that she has an increased rational brain activity. So her ability to make decisions and choices is much, much better. And of course, that means that she is making time for healthy habits and self-care. It's much easier for Cassie to say, "Oh, I'm going to take some time today for spending a few minutes going outside on a walk and for choosing the healthy vegetables over the sugary food that also looks enticing." So let's see what else happens. Decreased appetite and cravings. Yes, Cassie experiencing much less appetite and cravings there. And she is able to maintain a healthy weight because she doesn't have to struggle with all the hunger signals and all the cravings. And she's able to make better decisions because of her rational brain activity. And so it's much, much easier for Cassie to follow her new routine and her new goals for being healthier and not being so stressed and exhausted. So this helps her really move into a more thriving state. We're going to look at this here in a second. So she strengthens her immune system, which is keeping her healthier overall, being there for her family. And she also decreases her cortisol levels, which means she's moving from exhausted to thriving mode. And this is essential. We want to really work on not increasing your cortisol, but decreasing the cortisol and rebalancing it in a way that's helpful for us. So overall, Cassie is actually going to enjoy a much more improved health, well-being, cognitive function, and she's also having some benefits for anti-aging. Her skin, her cells in her body are able to repair themselves and are not breaking down. So she's enjoying smoother skin, fewer wrinkles, and overall looking younger and healthier. And that's due to the extra sleep that she's getting. So 8-10 hours of sleep is really kind of the magic number, especially when you're recovering from exhaustion and chronic stress. We're still catching up. 7 hours is not quite enough for most of us. We really need to aim for 8 hours or more. So I hope this was helpful for you to understand the contrast between when we don't get enough sleep and when we do get enough sleep. And here are some more tips of getting better sleeps in your better Z's in your life. So the first one is you want to change your mindset to go from the strong only need 4 hours of sleep each night to I need at least 7 hours of sleep or more tonight, so I am not at risk of overeating, being groggy, cranky, or generally destroying my health and quality of life. So you want to always keep it in your mind, maybe even write it down on a piece of paper so that you can always have it there in your kitchen or in your room, anywhere that you can see it during the day. You always want to sleep in a nice dark room and get lots of light in the daytime. This really is important for resetting your sleep-wake cycle. So your circadian rhythm is very sensitive to sleep and dark and light during the day. So you want to do as much of this as possible. And you want to make your bedroom and your bed for sleeping only. Anything that reminds you of work, including your big pile of laundry in your basket, yes, I know you, and your TV, your electronics, your phone, your work, even your food out of your bedroom. So you want to make your bedroom and your space really a very peaceful and restful place that you can feel good about just sleeping and resting. This is what it's supposed to be. Number 4, keep your bedroom cool at night. So this is important because then you're going to be closer to your natural body temperature, which is going to be lower at night, and aiming for 60 to 68 degrees of temperature at night will be very beneficial for you. Number 5, if you wake up at 3 a.m., it usually is due to anxiety or maybe over the next day of what you need to still do or what the expectations are, or maybe other mental stress, things that you're just thinking about that you can't let go of. And you want to get up and listen to a meditation or some other relaxation guide, maybe something that you've recorded on your phone or that you can listen to on a CD that's not connected to a mobile device. It would be really helpful to do some of that and not bring your stress back into your bed. So you want to get really calm and let go of that mental stress as much as possible, but don't turn on your phone in the middle of the night. So that's something that you don't want to do. Number 6, avoid eating late at night to optimize your blood sugar and to reduce sleeplessness and weight gain. So if you eat late at night, you really are impacting your whole digestion and your blood sugar levels and make it more likely that you're going to have problems with insulin and with blood sugar problems. So you want to not eat within the last 3 hours before you go to sleep. And also keep in mind that if you are actually hungry before bed, it is okay to eat a small snack, maybe a small piece of apple with some peanut butter, just to keep your blood sugar levels at level, because then your body is not going to make cortisol due to low blood sugar levels. So try to avoid eating that 3 hours before bed, but sometimes you might be hungry and you should be eating something if that's the case. So I hope this information was extremely helpful for you and that you can implement some of the strategies. You really understand, first of all, why you need to have that 8 to 10 hours of sleep, like Cassie Calm, and how that really impacts every single decision and your health and your ability to maintain your weight, the ability to feel less stressed and stay more calm, use your rational brain for decision making, and how you want to avoid, really a chronic lack of sleep because of all the detrimental things that Susie stressed out has been experiencing. You don't want to be in her shoes because I know what it's like to be really having a lot of difficulties. I work with older people and I see them all the time struggling with chronic lack of sleep and the long-term results from that. So if you want more information on my topics of sleep and other topics like healthy eating and feeling less stressed so you can go from exhausted to energized and thriving again, then I want to invite you to go to my website and watch my free masterclass. This is all about chronic stress and how you can truly recover and go from exhausted to thriving again. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/exhausted-to-thriving. So I hope you had a lot of fun watching this, and I hope to see you in my next video or at my masterclass. And I hope to see you then. Take care.